Hey, my wonderful, beautiful people, a pleasant 2025 to us. I certainly wish for us a wonderful, a fantastic 2025. All right, so I saw an article, I don't know if it's a fairly recent one, maybe one that took place, today, the new year, or shortly before the new year. And it is Reverend Dr. Al Miller, basically stating that we really need to, lobby and get to a new Jamaica, because both the state and the church has failed. They have failed the country. He never said the word miserably. He used the term, he emphasized that both the church and the political system must be held accountable for contributing to an out of control Jamaica. So really it's failing the country miserably. And I totally agree with him on that. He said something that sort of brought me down memory lane rather. Because when when I use the word nostalgia, I normally use it when the memories are good. I don't know if it is used in the negative. But I remember when he mentioned that they need to have a sort of oversight body, so to speak, where it says it oversees the country, like a 10-member body of Jamaica's brightest minds, that it will oversee the government and the country for the next 5 years, or for a 5-year term, because, with the 63 House of Representatives and so on, really who oversees them, who ensure that they follow policy, that they go by the guidelines that the people of Jamaica and its country benefits through their governance. How is it that they benefit from same? And when I saw the article talking about the bright minds, I remember maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, perhaps within that time frame, I think it was the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, that talked about when they were, saying that, when they were trying to sort of make a claim, or sort of, what is a term that I want to use now? When they wanted to justify the 100%, the 200%, and the 300% increase, they talked about, look here, we're trying to attract newer minds, brilliant minds in politics, and that would be a big justification of the high salaries, because what he was really making a correlation is that with the bright minds, it means that we would have high productivity, and high output. So the outcome would be grandiose, it would be magnolious, it would be great, and the country would benefit, because when you have bright minds and less brain drain, then the economy would boost. Naturally, it will attract investors, and then the country would just soar like an eagle. And when I thought about that, and I look at some of our current politicians, it seems as though that message of attracting bright minds, seems to have just fallen on deaf ears. It fell through. It didn't fall on solid and good ground or good soil, because the display of some of the people in politics left much to be desired, and it makes you wonder, really, if it was just a facade to justify, or to give the people them sweet words to say, this is why, or these are the reasons why we are asking for this sort of increase. You understand what I'm saying? There are bright minds who are out there in the political world who, even without an increase, their present salaries leaves much to be desired. It should be buried, never resurrected. And when the Reverend talked about taking up some of Jamaica's brilliant minds, I wonder, what now is considered as brilliant? Are we talking people who are emotionally intelligent with some semblance of intelligence quotient, meaning knowledge, or people with high IQ but don't know how to execute the knowledge in an emotionally intelligent manner? What it is that we now consider as bright minds. It makes me wonder, because having the knowledge but the inability to execute it for good and desired results that will benefit the country, seem to not be understood. Because I'm for that. I've always believed in oversight, that people ought to be, when you have certain leadership roles, so that pride and arrogance and narcissism and a sort of evil mind, wicked mind does not set in, a Jezebel spirit. You need somebody to hold you accountable. Because the thing that easily besets us is right there, lurking, knocking at our window, you know. And that is what happened with Lucifer, for example. It got to him, his beauty got to him, you know, the gifting that God had given to him got to him, but more so his beauty, that he wanted to overthrow the one who gave it to him. And Nebuchadnezzar caught that evil spirit and had the same belief. And God had to show him for 7 years who is boss. When he lived like an animal, that he even grew something like claws. I mean, the nails got so long and hideous that it looked like maybe jonquil claws or hawk claws sort of thing. So I'm so in support of what the Reverend is talking about. But I wouldn't want it to be a case of you selecting, right, because you know this one, or this one is your friend, this one, you know it's good. Yes, I'm not saying that reference is not important, but I would prefer a sort of a clean slate in people applying for this 10-man band. And when I say man, whether man, obviously male and female, you know, where it's not, when you look, there is some connection with this particular politician or that politician or this big wig or that big wig, and just 10 mixed from varying backgrounds, people who say we are for country building. We are for country building, you know, because it would not solve the issue. Because the Reverend talked about both the church, the state and the church failing the country. They failed the country miserably. Remember, I'm using that word because of what he had used. It said because it to be out of control. Out of control, which is very bad. It is really bad. The country and a lot of people cannot seem to separate their political ties and making Jamaica great. Somehow they can't keep the two separate and apart. At heart, they're either green or orange. And that is what matters. Even if they've seen them spiraling out of control, going down the ditch, they say, I am a die-hearted green or I'm a die-hearted orange. I don't care. So they couldn't care less what happens to the country. It doesn't matter. I'm sticking as a JLP or I'm sticking as a PNP, as opposed to saying I'm sticking as a Jamaican because I want Jamaica to be great. Because when Jamaica is great, it makes me great and my family great, my family's family, and continuing, and that generational blessing continues. Jamaica has never, ever, ever in its history seemed to have attained greatness. Yes, Usain Bolt did it in the sporting. He himself did it. You know, and some of the others, his predecessors and so on. And the reason why I use him, because we're talking about his consistent wins of the gold in different races and different championships. You had Bob Marley and all of that. But are we going to keep banking on just these two individuals, musically and athletically? What about the overall social and economic status of the country? Why is it that Jamaica cannot be the country to be sought after, to be envied in a good way, so to speak? When we think of Singapore, how they were in the rut, and now they're the model, they're like gold, diamonds, emeralds, rubies, onyx. And when we think of our country, you have the disparity between the rich and the poor being so great that a sea, an ocean can come between it. Very poor, very rich, maybe some not that poor. But I'm with, the Reverend. Let's see. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe and give me one of those lions, please.